Most cultures and societies believe in ghosts and spirits that live on beyond death, roaming the places that were important to them in life, or the rooms that resounded with their first cries, or perhaps eternally walking the grounds and corridors that echoed their last breaths. There are thousands of places scattered over the globe that are said to be haunted. Houses, castles, hotels, forts, all sorts of places, indoors and out, that have witnessed the deaths of countless souls and their resurrections as wandering specters demanding justice, or denouncing crimes, or simply just there. Here are some of the spookiest places on Earth. Isla de las Muñecas, the Island of the Dolls, Mexico. Just south of Mexico City, between the canals of Xochimilco, you can find a small island with a sad background that never intended to be a tourist destination. Don Julian Santana Barrera was the caretaker of the island. The story goes that Julian found a little girl drowned in mysterious circumstances, and he was not able to save her life. Shortly thereafter, Julian saw a floating doll near the canals. Most probably, the doll belonged to the girl. He picked up the doll and hung it to a tree as a way of showing respect and support for the spirit of the girl. Julian was haunted by the spirit of the girl and started hanging more dolls in an attempt to please her spirit. He soon realized the dolls themselves were possessed by the spirits of dead girls and continued to collect creepy dolls, hanging them over the entire island. According to those close to him, it was as if Julian was driven by some unseen force that completely changed him. After 50 years of collecting dolls and hanging them on the island, Julian was found dead, drowned in the same spot where the girl died. Local legend says that the dolls moved their heads and arms and even opened their eyes. Some witnesses claim they had heard the dolls whispering to each other, while others who were on a boat near the island said the dolls lured them to come down to the island. Bangor Fort, Rajasthan, India. Located in the Alwar district of Rajasthan, the fort was built in 1613 and stands today a ruin of several temples, palaces, and smaller living units. The legend tells that the fort became cursed when a wizard, Scindia, who lived in the town, fell in love with the beautiful princess of Bangor, Ratnavati. To make the princess fall in love with him, Scindia offered her a bowl of magic potion. It didn't work. The princess saw through his ploy and threw the bowl against a large boulder. The boulder was disturbed enough to start rolling, and it rolled right down onto the wizard. Seeing his imminent death, he cursed the town, shouting that it would be destroyed and become uninhabitable. He was crushed to death. Soon after, the town was attacked by an invading force and was pillaged. Most of its inhabitants, including the princess, were slaughtered, while the few survivors abandoned the fort. The wizard's curse remained, of course, and the ghosts of those killed continued to haunt the fort. The Archaeological Survey of India, which manages the site, forbids anyone from staying at the fort after dark. Eastern State Penitentiary, Pennsylvania. Built in 1829 with castle-like walls and imposing guard towers, Eastern State Penitentiary in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, was the first prison to institute solitary confinement. Prisoners lived alone, ate alone, and even exercised alone in individual yards. When an inmate left his cell, a guard covered his head with a hood so that he remained in confinement. Although the solitary system was quickly discarded due to overcrowding, Eastern State is widely believed to have caused mental illness among its prisoners. It operated as a regular prison from 1913 until it closed in 1917, during which time it housed both Al Capone and bank robber Willie Sutton. The prison was abandoned in 1971, and rumors of strange happenings have plagued the Stone Penitentiary ever since. Visitors to the prison report footsteps in the yards, the sound of someone pacing in the cells, eerie noises, and lonely wails that drift through the cold, dark corridors. Cell Block 12 is famous for its disembodied laughter, and one guard tower appears on some nights to be occupied by a shadowy figure keeping watch over the empty prison. Waverly Hills Sanatorium, Jefferson County. Built in 1910 to house tuberculosis patients, the sanatorium was enlarged in 1924 to make room for the growing number of inmates. The building was expanded to a 5-story structure that could easily hold 400 patients. Doctors at the hospital were notorious for experimentation on the tuberculosis sufferers, carrying out painful surgeries to treat the disease with nefarious results. One of the most infamous surgical procedures involved opening the chest cavity to insert balloons into the lungs, and another involved removing ribs to allow the lungs to expand. An urban legend claims that as many as 64,000 people died at the hospital there over the years, but that figure has been challenged by a former assistant director and placed at 8,212, starting from 1945. A nurse is also rumored to have hung herself in room 502 after learning that she was pregnant and had contracted tuberculosis. Those who passed away at Waverly Hills were moved out of the hospital through a service tunnel, now known as the body chute, that took the corpses through the back and out of sight of the patients to a waiting hearse. Most of the hospital, including the morgue and body chute, remain intact today. Yulia Hashdeo Castle, Romania. A father's love for his daughter prompted the building of Yulia Hashdeo Castle in 1893. The father, Bogdan Petricek Hashdeo, a Romanian writer and intellectual, started building the castle as a tribute to his 19-year-old daughter, victim of tuberculosis, in Campina, Romania. He became a practitioner of spiritualism in an attempt to reconnect with her spirit, and designed one room with black walls in the castle, solely for the purpose of these daily spiritual exercises. Yulia's spirit still roams the castle and can be seen walking through the courtyard in a white dress, holding daisies, or playing the piano every morning, according to visitors to the castle. Port Arthur, Tasmania. Called Hell on Earth by its convict prisoners, Port Arthur had a reputation as one of the worst prisons in the entire British Empire. During its 47 years as a convict settlement, more than 1,000 people died within its boundaries, and it's said that many of these unfortunate souls still linger. Indeed, there's so much activity here that more than 2,000 incidents have been recorded in the past 2 decades alone. Believed to be one of the Southern Hemisphere's most active haunted places, visitors and staff have described all the spooky hallmarks of a haunted property: cold spots, ghostly touches, apparitions, and moving lights. Incidents reported span the paranormal gamut: ghostly children appearing in windows, workmen fleeing buildings after being terrorized by poltergeists, tourists running into a weeping lady in blue, apparently the spirit of a woman who died in childbirth, while in the solitary separate prison, the cries of a young boy awaiting execution are heard at nighttime. Gahara Forest, Japan. Known as the most famous forest in Japan, Gahara is located at the northwest base of the country's highest mountain, Mount Fuji. Due to its high density of trees, Gahara is also known as Jukai, which simply means a sea of trees. The tree coverage is so thick that even at noon you will hardly find a bright spot in the forest. Gahara is also known as Japan's demon forest, the suicide forest, and the perfect place to die. This unique forest, which is very quiet with hardly any wildlife, has turned into a common spot among the Japanese to end their life, and because of the silence, many Japanese believe that the forest is haunted and dare not go nearby. In Japanese mythology, Gahara is known to be haunted by demons, a reason why some Japanese are still afraid to enter the forest. It is believed that those who enter the forest would never return. Another reason why people believed that the forest is haunted is due to yurei, or souls filled with hatred, sadness, and desire to revenge. According to legend, people bring their family members during famine to the forest and leave them to die there in order to save their food for other family members. those left in the forest would slowly die due to starvation, turning them into Yurei. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to leave a like and to hit the subscription button. Thanks for watching. See you next time.